let's go to the men's Royal Rumble match. Probably will main event the show. Pretty excited for it. Lots of big possibilities for surprises. But I'll tell you something, Andy. This could be the best men's Royal Rumble ever without surprises. Like everybody that is announced, plus the guys on the roster, throw in a couple of NXT guys just for the fun of it. But like no big surprises. We could all go home happy with somebody winning this Rumble and it not be a surprise. That is how stacked the roster is right now. It's insane, dude.
Yeah. I didn't realize how stacked this Rumble was until I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago when they started running down the names of the people that had already announced themselves for the Rumble. And it was like Cena and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and CM Punk. And it was just like name after name after name after name. This is a very stacked card, very stacked Rumble. And it's anybody's to win this year. So I think you're right. This potentially could be one of the best Rumbles of all time, if not the best men's Royal Rumble of all time.
All right. So, man, if you have to, lots of surprises. I don't mean to dive into surprises just yet, but I feel like we've established that this is going to be the best Rumble. Probably at least since 2020. Maybe best of all time.
Yeah.
But if we're thinking about surprises, and you're thinking about guys that are going to enter that we might not think of, or if you're just looking at what's the best way to get everybody off their feet. Like I think it was last year that Jey Uso entered number 1 and then Jimmy entered number 2.
Yeah.
Nuts, So how do they get them off their feet early? Like who enters at number 1 and maybe number 2? You talk all the time about the match within the match to kick us off, to really establish it. What would you do?
My go-to every year, and I think it's a great way to kick it off, if you do like Sheamus versus Drew to kick the night off. Like those two guys, like the match within the match that we talked about, or like a solo. So even like if I know it's not going to happen because there ain't no way this dude's going to wrestle the whole time, but if it was like Solo and Roman to kick off the night, just like something like that, I could see. I don't have like the first one to pop off right away. The one I could see is if you did like Sami Zayn came out first, and then all of a sudden Kevin Owens' music hits, and he comes out second, and those two just have the Rumble to themselves, just beat each other up until somebody else comes out. I think that's the one that I'm looking for the most is 1 and 2, and then the final 4 is always just amazing every single time.
Well, it's a little unfair because I didn't tell you I was going to ask you that question because I have my answer. I'm like, I'm just going to ask him and see what he comes up with because I had this figured out. My number 1 to get the people off their feet and ready to go is Pat McAfee. Pat in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Pat's music hits at number 1.
Yeah.
The place is losing their mind. Like to me, like Pat's got to get an entrance to start the show. Just because of wearing Indy, they have to do it. He needs to come out wearing his jersey and the whole 9 yards. But like to kick off the Rumble, his music hits, bro. Let's go. That's what music says, right? So you mentioned the Final 4. Let's talk about the Final 4. And I'm probably going to spoil like a surprise or two in this little scenario. But my buddy Jesse that I work with, who is actually going to the Rumble with us, he and I are driving up together. You and your wife are driving up together. But Jesse texted me this and he said, he texted me during the Drew McIntyre, Paul Heyman exchange on Monday Night Raw tonight. He said, who does Paul Heyman side with? The Final 4 is Brock, Roman, Drew, and Punk. How does Paul Heyman decide? Bro, could you imagine if that was the Final 4 in this Rumble?
Oh, that'd be amazing. That would be a wild Final 4.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't even know. I would just love to see Paul just losing his mind because he doesn't know who's going to win, who he's with. Yeah, that's a crazy Final 4.
Because you know what could happen is like Paul he waddles in the ring and he tries to reason with everybody, and then he just storms out because he can't reason with anybody, and then he pops back up with a black hood and he costs Roman the match or something, or he whatever. I don't know, man. But Like the possibilities are endless with how Paul Heyman fits into this whole thing.
Yeah. I think what they did tonight, and especially him being on the cover, like part of the cover of the game, and then being the one to come out there, and then he didn't back down from Drew either, which I thought was really interesting. I think Paul, whatever the Roman story is going into WrestleMania, Paul's going to play a massive role in, like he always does.
Well, I mean, and to Jesse's point about that, I asked him who he thought Heyman would side with, and he said, we'll discuss it on the drive up there. Okay, fine. But I think the point that Jesse made is Drew referenced all three of those guys in that promo. Yeah. All three of them. So, like, it's interesting. I mean, you could see Paul align within him. I think the least likely would be Drew, because Drew has clearly proven he doesn't need a mouthpiece. It would just be in spite of the other guys.
Yeah.
But, man, I think it could be so interesting. Okay, I'll ask you right now. Let's get into these surprises. But my first one, is Brock coming back? What do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think Brock. I don't think we see Brock for a while.
I agree.
And when I say a while, I mean like 2 to 3 years, if not longer. I think it's a while before we see Brock.
It's fun to think about, but I think it's a while.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Can we both agree that the lock surprise for this Royal Rumble is this man right here, Joe Hendry?
If it's not, I want it to be 2015 Rumble all over again. We're just booing until he shows up. That's what I want. Joe Hendry better be in this Rumble, and he better he better eliminate every single person and win the Rumble. I am all in. I believe in Joe Hendry. I would love it. Listen, he's the TNA World Champ now. I don't think that was done. Obviously, they have a plan in place, but I think that was also done for promotion reasons when he walks out as TNA World Champ in the Rumble. Yep. That is almost a guarantee that that's going to happen.
Jared, in his prediction video that we played just a minute ago, mentioned both Matt and Jeff. I think Pop will be huge for those guys. I mean, those weren't even guys that you really think of when you think of this NXT WWE TNA deal. It's like, throw those guys in the dang Rumble. Get a huge pop out of that.
I tell you the one who I could see showing up as well. I don't know what they would do with his name, but I could see Dolph Ziggler walking back.
Yes. Yep.
I think because he's got that relationship with NXT already. I think if his music dropped, I think people would be excited to see him. But I'll tell you the one that I would love to see.
Wait, let me go first, because I'm piggybacking off on exactly what you said. And if I steal your point, I'm sorry. Just to add to what I said. You mentioned Joe Hendry being champ for a reason, for promotional reasons.
Yep.
Who did he face this past Thursday on TNA?
Yep.
Matt Cardona.
Yeah.
You don't think that was done intentionally?
But that's not who I think. That's not who I'm talking about.
Okay. My pick, Matt Cardona, is going to be in the Rumble. He's already going to be in Indy for WrestleCon. Cardona's going to be in the Rumble. Who's your pick?
I've got two.
Okay.
My one that I think you would lose your mind for, and I think it would just be a fun time and see what happens, is if JBL was in this Rumble. Because we have seen him on the independent scene clotheslining everybody. He's a part of this Joe Hendry, Nick Nemeth storyline.
He's been talking a lot about doing the stem cell stuff, getting himself in shape, and
had him on commentary this past week. Like I think they're doing things on purpose.
Listen,
if he's not in the Rumble, he's going to at least be at the show he may even eliminate Joe Hendry himself.
It's so true. Listen, because if you listen, he's filling in for Bruce Pritchard right now. For those of you who don't know, because Bruce is on a leave of absence from WWE and the podcast, but I think he's back in WWE. I think I saw him backstage on the couple of shots in Gorilla the last couple of weeks. I think when Penta debuted, I think is the first time that I saw him. But anyway, regardless, so JBL's been filling in, and Conrad was asking JBL about his wrestling plans in 2025, and he said there are for sure things on the calendar in 2025 that are happening. And he said, if all goes well, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. He didn't give specifics, but JBL has plans. So we know he's been doing the independent thing. Maybe one of those things is the Rumble, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fun way to get the crowd up. The other one is the long shot that I don't think will happen, but I am selfishly hoping happens. I don't know his contract status. I don't know what the deal is. But if Malachi Black is in this Rumble, I will lose my mind. I don't think he is, but I want to see him back in WWE. I think he has a massive place there. Instantly, I think because Karrion Kross over the last couple of weeks has been doing amazing stuff on Raw. I think he can come right in and go right into a feud with Kross. But yeah, I would love it if Malachi Black was in this Rumble.
Yeah, likewise. I'm not sure what his contract status is. Either AEW is being weird about their contracts lately, as we saw in the news last week with Britt Baker, and we've talked about Ray Phoenix and Ricky Starks and yada yada. So I have no idea. I don't think anybody will know until he actually shows up in WWE. Here's one of mine, and the Dirt Sheets stole my thunder by reporting this earlier tonight before we had a chance to go live on the show. And that's AJ Styles. If that dude is recovering halfway quick, I know we had some comments earlier from Foster who mentioned AJ Styles as well. We got a poll in the chat, by the way. Vote in the poll who you think is going to win the Rumble. He says AJ Styles. I don't necessarily think that AJ is going to win it, but I definitely think he's going to be in it. We do have a comment from the to me troll. We'll leave that one alone. It says, I do think JBL enters the Rumble, but if you could pick a logical surprise, who would you pick and why? I think that's a logical surprise. I mean, come on, that's fine. And you pick Dolph Ziggler. That's a logical surprise. And AJ Styles is logical. Who else? Who else are some other surprises? There's plenty of other names floating out there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking NXT, I think Trick Williams can be in this. I think Ethan Page could be in this. Obafemi. I mean, there's some guys I want to see Obafemi go one-on-one with right now. Like just stand across the ring from. I could see that. The other one I could see, and again, I don't know his contract status, and I don't know what his plans are, but I could also see Rusev showing up again. And this would be a good spot for him to come in and to reestablish himself. That could be your 1-2 right there. Is you have Cena's music hit to kick off the night, and then Rusev comes out second because they have a long history together. I think that's another potential surprise that could happen.
I think Cena's a good possibility for number one as well. I was talking about getting the people up off their feet and getting them ready to go. I think Cena's a good possibility. I don't know if they could run the gauntlet though. What about Big E? What do you think about Big E?
I don't want to get my hopes up. That's why I didn't mention him. No, I think there's a good chance. I really do. I think there's a good chance he could show up. I think there's a good chance that he's in the Rumble. I don't know obviously we don't know what his health status is and everything, but I don't think the New Day segment with him specifically was done for no reason.
Right.
So I think there are plans in place whenever he is cleared to come back. So I can see it happening here.
I don't know that it makes sense to bring him in unless it's Kofi and Woods standing together in the ring. How do you get to that point where Kofi and Woods have dominated the Rumble? They're the only ones standing, and then Big E comes out.
I think you could do it early where maybe like Kofi's 2 or 3, and then Xavier's like 5 or 6, and he comes in and helps Kofi get on his feet, and they take somebody out, and they're the only 2 standing. And then Big E's music hits, and he comes out and eliminates them both.
Lots of people are talking Randy Orton here. I think obviously that's logical, but I honestly, Andy, I don't like it unless Kevin Owens is in the match. I don't like Randy coming back in the Rumble because same thing. You brought up Jade Cargill earlier, which makes sense. But I think it's the same thing. Somebody took out Jade. Jade is. In order to properly further her storyline, same thing goes with Randy, that needs to be a confrontation, not just a surprise in the Rumble. It loses the impact of the return, in my opinion. So that's why I wouldn't go with Randy. All right. To me, Trolls, checking us out. Thank you so much. Make sure you're subscribed to the show if you're not already. Speaking of Obafemi, who gets the Diesel spot or the Kane spot? Depending on who you ask, most eliminations, who gets the Iron Man spot, who stays in the longest. Man, oh my gosh. In the women's Rumble, we said Charlotte. So for the men's, oh man. I think Drew is a good one for the Iron Man.
I think Jey is too.
Jay's a good one for the Iron Man. I agree with that.
Yeah, if I had to pick right now, I would probably lean more towards Jey being the Iron Man. Or maybe Sami Zayn. Like I think Sami Zayn's a great Iron Man to come in and or if you want to establish somebody that we've talked about, have Penta. Have Penta come in and just be the Iron Man. Because we've seen Rey Mysterio do it. We've seen a lot of the Finn Balor did it a couple years ago. I think Penta's a great. If I had to pick, I would probably pick Penta.
As far as most eliminations go, I'm going to go with John Cena. I think Cena could come in there, making a huge impact in his last Rumble, toss a bunch of people out.
This is the easiest one for me.
Okay.
Jacob Fatu.
Oh, well, yeah, duh.
Jacob Fatu is going to eliminate everybody almost.
Is this okay? I know we're really going down a rabbit hole. We appreciate you guys being tuned in with us. We got a couple more points to get to, and then we're going to get out of here. Is this the night we finally see Roman and Jacob face to face going at it for the first time in the Royal? I know they've had a little bit of physicality, but is this the first night that we finally get them going at it?
No, because I think that's the distraction of Jacob and Roman being face to face that helps Drew eliminate Roman Reigns.
Oh, fun. Okay.
They can touch. So I don't think, I think they're going to save that until as I think they want to stretch that for as long as they can. And I don't think that it's going to happen at the Rumble. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see him go at it, but.
So you're still on your prediction from a couple of weeks ago that we're headed towards Drew versus Roman at WrestleMania. Okay.
Yeah, especially after tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I even wrote down in my notes, I'm leaning towards your prediction more now than ever. Because Roman was my pick to win the Rumble until you said that, and it got me thinking. And then as things have progressed, I'm like, okay, that actually makes more sense to have Roman and Drew. They wrestled at WrestleMania 35. It was a great match. And you get a totally different version of both of them now. Having said that, we've gone through our surprises. We've picked this thing apart. We've answered questions live. If you've got them in the you're watching us on replay, drop those questions in as well. Andy, who are you picking? Men's Royal Rumble. Who are you going with?
So the whole time, I have been leaning towards John Cena winning the Rumble.
Yep.
Because it's his last one and the story makes sense. But I like the story of Cena having to overcome the odds once again.
He's already advertised for Chamber.
Exactly. I don't think he wins the Rumble. I think he's in the final two.
Oh, final two. I was at least going to say final four, but final two I like.
I don't know fully. And I'm not comfortable. I'm not like a lock in my prediction yet. But I think I'm down to two people. I'll talk my way through this a little bit as we kind of do this. I'm down to two people.
Okay.
I think it's either Randy Orton to go after Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
Or I think it's CM Punk.
Okay.
But I don't know where the CM Punk Seth Rollins fits into this. I don't know where Randy and Kevin fit into this. That's my dilemma with Cody Rhodes' side of the table right now.
Which leads me to my pick to win the Royal Rumble. You see, because I think it's Randy Orton, Kevin Owens one-on-one at WrestleMania. I know we've got the Sami Zayn stuff going on, but I think we get to Randy KO at Mania, and then the night after Mania, you have Randy turning on Cody, and then you tell that story. So that's where I would go with that. As far as Seth Rollins and CM Punk goes, I'm adding Drew McIntyre into that. That's my triple threat match at WrestleMania. I take Drew away from Roman. Boom. I'm going Roman Jacob Fatu. I'm fast tracking that one to WrestleMania this year. Sorry, I'm doing it. I know you want to let it go for a long time. Let's do it now. Let's do it now.
Yeah.
My pick to win the 2025 Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania to face Cody Rhodes is The Rock. I think it happens. I think it happens. Jared brought it up. Jared brought it up on the show last week, and I cannot get the thought out of my head of Roman Reigns winning the Rumble, and then number 31 comes out.
Yep.
and it's The Rock. And The Rock eliminates Roman Reigns. Since he said that, like I was leaning Rock anyway, but since he said that, I'm all in on Rock. Now,
yeah.
Am I going to be disappointed if The Rock doesn't win the Royal Rumble and doesn't even show up? No, because somebody's going to win and it's going to be awesome. Like, dude, Jey Uso, can you imagine the pop if Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble?
He's my dark horse.
Dude, me too. And I said it last week and 2 weeks ago. He was my pick until the whole match at Saturday night's main event. Now I'm just not sure. So,
yeah,
Jey Uso, big possibility. But man, I'm going Rock. And you set up Rock Cody at WrestleMania. I think that match has to happen. I think you can totally separate it from Roman, and you have The Rock lose to Cody, and then you have Roman come out and say, well, I guess we're even now. And then boom, there we go. We're off and running to tell that story. I'm going
yeah.
Rock.
Yeah, now you got me excited about The Rock maybe showing up because I already in my mind I'm like, he's not going to be there. Not even going to worry about it. If you, since you're making me pick and I have to pick because we're doing predictions.
Yep, making you pick.
I'm going with my heart over my gut and my mind. And I'm going to be selfish and I'm picking CM Punk to win the Rumble because I think there is a really good story to tell with Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk for the title.
Sure.
And you have the jealous Seth Rollins in the background who is just, I would have Punk eliminate Rollins in the Rumble. And you just have that eating at him. And he is livid. I don't know who Seth faces at WrestleMania now. But I do think I would love if CM Punk won the Rumble.
Okay, let's go down one more rabbit hole before we get ready to wrap this show up. Appreciate you guys being tuned in. I know we're going a little bit long, but it is the Royal Rumble. It's the kickoff to WrestleMania season. We're going to be there in person. We're just overly excited about this. We have both picked scenarios in which the winner of the Rumble is going to go after Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. What do you do with Gunther? There's been lots of talk online this past couple of weeks about how his title reign has not been great, not nearly as good as his Intercontinental title reign. What do you do with Gunther at WrestleMania?
I think that is an easy choice, and that's part of the overcoming the odds. I think Cena faces Gunther for the world title at WrestleMania. I'm not ready to say Cena wins the title at WrestleMania because I think that's a really great notch in his belt if Gunther is able to beat Cena, and then we push that back maybe to SummerSlam or Money in the Bank or whatever. But I think the best choice right now for Gunther, if you're not doing Jey Uso, which we've already seen, maybe you can do Gunther and Seth for the world title.
I like that, especially after tonight. I really like that. I do.
Yeah. But I think there's something about seeing Gunther versus Cena, especially at a WrestleMania. Especially at WrestleMania, I think that's the money marquee match for the world title this year.
Or Goldberg.
No. Save that for Saudi.